All right, hello. It's currently Saturday, November 22nd, 2025, and just going to go over a weekly technical breakdown, follow up with my trades from the past, kind of not trades from the past week, but follow up with the price action from the past week, and going to project where I believe the markets are heading. So you can see this is my active Top Step X subscription, and I'm currently done with the day. We do have a market is closed right now, but yeah, just want to recap. Uh, you all want to see the P&L? I'll show you. So far, this is the P&L of the account. It's a 50K account, and you can see the average win and loss, profit factor. I like to show this so people can actually see. This is a real account. Um, I really do trade daily, and here we go. That was my last and most recent day, and you can see this is pretty much my monthly results. So let's move on and get going with the breakdown. But yeah, pretty consistent, pretty smooth month so far. Only had three losing days. This should have been a plus 900 day, but I did make a mistake and I learned from that. And ever since, I just said, hey, enough losing. And Wednesday, I did not take any trades because there was no setups. Friday, it was barely a setup, and I took it. I'll explain that right now. Then we'll get into the actual charts for this week. So let's break down Friday's trade, and I'll get going with the weekly breakdown for gold, NQ, and maybe even look at the euro if I have some time. So yeah, let's take a look at the gold chart. I'll explain this, break it down exactly how I seen it, and exactly what I was doing. So let me just expand this chart so you can see what's going on. Let me just reduce the size. All right. So gold was doing some pretty interesting stuff um, on Friday. I have marked off my major levels, and these levels are going to stay when I break it down. But let's get into gold right here. So I was trading the London session. London session is about three. But with daylight savings times, it is 4 o'clock p.m. my time. So that is about 8 o'clock a.m. Um, London time. So I noticed the market was bearish at the time when I was looking at these charts. This is not a pullback. This is more of a pause, these three 15-minute bars. So that's not a real trigger. And I realized that prices kept on pausing around that major level of resistance you can see. I'm going to just zoom in so you can actually see this a little bit more clear. The price was pausing around this major level of resistance. It wasn't going anywhere, but when I did log in and I was ready to trade, I did notice that price was starting to reject this level. So what I did was this was this started off green. It took out the prior 15-minute, and this was also a 30-minute if you combine those two. So the prior 15-minute, 30-minute highs, and price did started rejecting from that level. So when I saw that, I dropped down to my 5-minute time frame because that resistance is now becoming, or that support became resistance. So let me zoom back over here so you can actually see what I'm saying. And this is what I was seeing on the 5 minute. It was kind of choppy, so I was not really down to trade it, but I was getting the clarity. So this right here, this was your last swing low. And then if you look over to the right, you see that this bar did close slightly lower. So we have swing low, there's no swing high. This was a new swing low. So when price broke above this bar, this became your new swing high. And then it paused around this level for a few bars. And then this is the one I was telling you about, broken down into 5-minute bars. It took out the prior highs, rejected that level, and I got my morning. It's more of like a morning star, evening star. So this is, if you're familiar with the evening star, this is like an evening star formation. It's also called my RT. And then I was able to wait until I had a sufficient pullback. There was like a low close right here. Price pulled back, came into the wick area of this last bar, and I got triggered in. I entered a order right around here. You can't see because there's the thing. I entered an order right when this turned from green to red, and then it was a partial order, and then I entered another contract down below. You can't see because it's in the way, but yeah, once it passed by the lows of this green bar, I entered another partial contract, and this next 5 minute bar, it just shot down. And I dropped down to the 1 minute because I only had a target to hit this area that was like 1.45 from that first initial contract short. And I did take it down and I ended up closing out. I was trying to close out lower, but it was moving so fast, I ended up closing out partial. I'll show you the actual orders so you can see I did execute them. So yes, you can see the actual contracts. I can't move these or adjust it. It just won't let me. But yeah, these were the actual orders. And yeah, I can't do anything. I can't modify it. But this is like permanently on the chart, painted on. But yeah, just like I can drag these around, but I can't drag this because these were actually the orders. So you see, I can't move the arrows, nothing. Do that. So yeah, and yeah, I just got in and out. I'm gonna turn this off. The reason why I don't like to have these executions on the chart because it kind of like blocks out my view. But I will drop down to the 1 minute now so you can actually see it more clear. The exact exit that I was watching. Might have to zoom back a while. 16 o'clock. I did not trade U.S. session because it was showing me something similar, but it was a little bit more choppy, and I just didn't want to. I was already not trying to trade for the day, but I just figured I'd just give it a little trade. I risked it. I had a small risk as well. I only risked I think I risked like $80 on this entire trade, and then I scaled in, and it was even less. So I didn't even risk the full R that I normally would. I normally would risk like 150 to 200. It was really small risk, so the reward was really small, and that was pretty much it. You see, I was in and I was out. Um, right when this bar started pulling up, I got out so I had a trailing stop um, right above here, and I got out that last contract right when this like started like flipping on up. And the first contract I got out like right down here when I started seeing this like mess around. Eventually, this minute closed below, and I didn't chase price because there was nothing lower, so there was no liquidity to trade into. And yeah, that was it. Pretty much, I broke down the trade. It did start moving on up, so it was an amazing exit. And you can see that it was a really good exit. So yeah, that's my trade in the nutshell. I just want to break down. Sometimes when I do these weekly technical breakdowns, I will show some live trades that I took. You can see the market did reverse and start going up rest of the day. But unfortunately, my context was bearish, so I did not want to continue trading if the market is moving up and it's moving against me. So yes. So now that I marked that up, I'm going to delete this because I want some clear chart hygiene. I don't like having a bunch of things when I'm breaking the market, my weekly technical breakdown. So let me just clear this up. That was a pass. And yeah, good trade is a good trade. I did what I had to do. Now let's move on to what do I expect for this week? Um, I'm gonna expand this chart and we're gonna break this down step by step. So tune in for part two. All right, so this is part two of the technical breakdown. Now you all see that I do day trade and I do actively trade, so um, it's going to play a big role into how I break these charts down. So very similar. I'm going to just run it through. So let's start off with the weekly chart. I'm going to break down micro gold first, and then I'll break down the Nasdaq and show you what I expect for the week ahead. I'm gonna show some clean chart hygiene. I'm gonna do this step by step so you can see there's a bunch of lines. That was from my last weekly technical breakdown, and those levels were respected to the T. So right now I'm gonna delete all of this because I want to start off with a fresh chart, and we can see first off the context is bullish. You can see that it is from left to right. It is moving up. I have three things I call the CPT. So T stands for context, P stands for pattern, and T stands for trigger. Um, those of you that train with me, you know what that means. Those of you that don't train with me, just understand that is a process that I do when I look at every chart. And so the context is bullish, like I said. My pattern that I trade is the TC North. I do have variations of it, but main pattern is looking for a trend continuation north if I'm looking to buy, or TC South if I'm looking to sell. And the trigger is just what gets me into the trade if everything is clear. Right now, we do have a potential northbound trade, but what happened right here was price did trigger. It did move on up north, and currently it is bearish. And last week closed bearish. So it's a very interesting bar. And I'm also going to look at the monthly because we are at the end of the month. So give me a moment while I change this time frame to the 1 month interval. So 1M is 1 month, and we can just take a look at that. So hold on, 1M, enter. Okay, so we're gonna look at the 1 month just so we can see how the monthly might close. And we can see that we haven't had a pullback in a while. So do I expect this to, close on higher and retest those highs of the month? That could happen. Um, but like I said, the last pullback was like way back here in May, and we haven't had a pullback since then. So do I expect a pullback? We could potentially close this month out bearish or make a bottom weight before moving north. We are bullish, but I don't really know. Don't know what's gonna happen. Um, but looking back at May, we can see this right here. I'm just gonna project this stop loss right here. This is about 2,300 points, and then we have 9,000. That's about 11,000 so far. And the last wave size was way smaller. The last wave size was about 8,000. So this is due for a pullback, and I don't know when that's gonna happen, but it is looking like we are creating a large wick, and price is failing to break higher. So we're gonna get down to the weekly now to get back to what I was saying about that. So that kind of makes sense why we are experiencing a little pullback right now. And I do expect price to, so that aligns with my weekly analysis perfectly because now the weekly, like I said, it was bullish, but we are experiencing a little pullback. Can we start seeing bearish December coming into the end of the year? It is the end of the year as well, so be wary that a lot of major moves do happen at the beginning and end of the year. We have been bullish all year, so I wouldn't be surprised to see a pullback. And we did close bearish for the past several weeks, so at this point, I do believe that this down wave we might see a lower leg, and that is very possible hitting the 3,800 area, and then there's no bottom wick here. There's no bottom wick here. No bottom wick here. This is the last bottom wick, so I believe we could test the 3,700 level, and that is a huge decline. I'm not predicting, but that's over 3,000 point decline. So 3,000 tick decline. So we may potentially see that. Now, when I'm looking at this time frame, I see swing high, swing low, swing high. So that is definitely something that I have to check on. But I'm just gonna mark off this level right here, and I'm going to see how far down has this gone. Looking at the pullbacks, there's a pullback right here. There's a continuation down, and then since then there's been little pullbacks, but we have not continued down. So this was the last most recent swing low before the pullback. I'm gonna mark that off as well. And price has been messing around this level for a while. So looking into this, we can see that price did meet that swing high, right? Came back on down into this level, and it created a nice bearish short. So if you were to short it from up here, that would have been a beautiful short coming into this level. Stop loss up there, and you would have been well on your way down. Now we are at a major level of support right here. It looks like price is kind of like bouncing around that level. But if it was bullish, what I would like to have seen was like also one more thing on the way. I always look at the way up as well. So there's also a trend up. So you have a push up, swing low right here, continuation up. So this little swing high right here, this is also a major level. I'm gonna mark that off. And then this little swing low is a major level. So now I have some levels on my chart. So if you don't know how to use levels, just continue watching my video series and you'll get familiar with it, or you can just, get on some coaching and training with me. Those of you that have been training with me, you understand what these levels are, and it makes a lot more sense. But I do mark these levels off. You can see price did react from that level of support that became resistance. It rejected it, and that is not good for buyers. Right now, sellers did crash into this level of support, and they're currently in a little consolidation. So it's also not that great for sellers, but I am more bearish than bullish because this one fully rejected this level after breaking into it. And then it tapped into that level again, showing that there was two rejections from that level. And then there's also a third rejection from that level. On this level, there's one rejection, but it looks like price may possibly crash into this lower level and continue on downwards, taking out this level of liquidity down below. There is some stop losses for buyers that have bought back in October. So that's where I project my next targets. Um, Looking at the daily chart, I don't know yet. I have to dive in with more detail, but I would be bearish coming into this next week based off of the price action that I see. There is a little morning star. You can see price was bearish. It pushed lower, closed bullish. There's a little morning star that actually is failing right now. So if you are buying, I would be very cautious because this morning star that we do see, also known as RB, it is currently failing, and we are looking like it is pushing downwards. Now, why did we close so high up? I don't know. Maybe we're gonna retest these highs of last of Friday before pushing down, or we might just start off super bearish and continue crashing down. We have to see further into the week, but that is my week, my daily levels. Let's mark off the 4-hour levels now as we get more into the intraday context. So we can see that on micro gold, we do have price action currently looking like it's bullish, but it's moving more sideways. And that bullish dominant trend is losing strength. So right now we do see that price. There's a lower right here. There's a swing high right here. Rejected that level. This is just showing you in more detail. What I'm looking for is just the most recent up wave and the most recent down wave. We see pop up, pop down, pop up, rejected it. This is the most recent up wave, and I'm gonna mark off this level right here, this swing high, and I'm gonna mark off this level right here, this swing low. And it's going to be play a significant role as I get down to the smaller time frames. This is my last time frame I use major levels for. So you can actually see we are like chopping around in this area, and this is why it was a little tricky end of the week because we just been kind of like chopping in this level, and it's good. It's good for the future outlook because it's telling me that there's a big move that is it's cooking up a big move. It's accumulating orders, and that is really good if you're looking at the longer term. But yeah, we're just chopping up. We broke out this level. We came back in. We broke out. We came back down. We broke up. We came. Every time is pushing lower. And right now, we recently rejected some major levels, and we looks like we're pushing into this. So what can I expect? Well, I'm looking pretty. It's looking pretty bearish. And let's just one more thing. Let's look at the way downwards. We have a swing low. Okay, swing high, swing low, swing high, swing low. So this level right here is going to be significant coming into the week as well. This is why I'm like not really interested in trading gold right now. It's very cluttered with these levels, and I don't like to trade when I see this. Just a moment. I really don't like to trade this when I see this. It's telling me that we're chopping up. We do have some, now when I do look for setups, like I have a 200 point range down below, and then I have another one that's like 120 points for the downside. I'm not looking to buy this, like I said, just because we have so many resistance levels above, and it's going to be hard to break these. And even if we do, maybe if we break above 4110 area, then I'll be looking to go long because we do have a nice clear path with least resistance above. But as of right now, I am pretty bearish on this. I do not expect price to continue on up, and if it does, I'll react with the market data and information at that time. So now when I go down to the hourly chart, I can see that gold is choppy. So for me, I'm gonna stay away from gold coming into the next week. But we can, if we do break below the 40, 55 areas, then yeah, there's a nice 200 point range that can be played. Looking to short it, and if we break this and continue down, unfortunately, this range below is really small, so I'll just wait and see how price reacts from there. If I get a trade from up here, maybe we break this support, it becomes resistance, we test, and we can find some shorts into these lows. That'll be nice, and if I can hold the trade and let it drop down further, I'll just accept that. But at the moment I see price start to bounce from this level or this one, I'll trail out of my trade. So right now, no trades, but it does look pretty bearish. It's just like I said, we are at a major level of support, and prices reacted from there. So coming into the next week, micro gold, I would just or gold in general, I would just be a little cautious. My levels are marked up, so coming into the week, I know exactly what I should do and should not do. And overall, I am looking pretty. It is looking pretty bearish, and that's just my outlook. No trades right now, no orders I would take, but that is my breakdown for micro gold. And I'll go lower. I'll go to a lower time frame if I do see the intraday shaping up for a nice potential short. But first, I need to see that 40.57 level taken out. Now, another thing is we could pull back and retest the 40.80 levels. And then if we can get a nice rejection from there, we do have a 270 point range to trade. So that is pretty nice if we can either pull back, reject this level and come back down, or we can break this level and retest and then come back down. These are two nice sorts to take. So I am bearish. I'm looking for some sells into the next week. And yeah, if I'm looking for longs, basically I need to see I need to see basically this level rejected, retested, and then if I have a nice long up to these highs, that could be another play. Or yeah, that would be the only way I'd be looking for long. If we can like maybe show a bounce, maybe we can get a little long. But right now it is looking bearish. Neutral right now. It could go down. It could reject retest here. And if we do get some nice longs off this little bounce, then I could go long as well. So that's my plays. That's my breakdown. I'm gonna break down Nasdaq and be done with this video shortly. So here's my Nasdaq chart, and I did not take any trades on Nasdaq, but I'm gonna break this one down as well. It's gonna be a little bit more faster. So let's go on to the monthly chart. You can see that Nasdaq is very bullish. It has pulled back all the way down and is retesting that prior area. But let's take a look at what's happening. This was the last swing high. So I'm gonna mark that off before this little pullback right here, which was a swing low. So Nasdaq is in a very interesting place because it might become bearish if we don't bounce from this level. You can see it reacted from that level perfectly because that's why I marked these levels off. And look, it closed in, but then it closed up. But this could be a nice rally for Nasdaq if we can continue to bounce off into this next end of the month. We'll see what happens. So far we have pulled all the way back, but I do believe we could start to ascend back to the upside. If we, or we can also break down and close bearish, and that is not good for buyers. So I'm very neutral on the monthly chart. Let's take a look at the weekly chart. Mark off our levels, swing high, swing low. Since this is so close, I'm not even gonna mark it, but this swing high was right here, and you see price did reject that level. It did come back in, retest it, and it came back down. But look at, we're in a range. We're in a range right now. We're overall bullish. So can we look for some buys coming on up into this level? That's very possible, and that's a 4,000 tick range. So that's a very large range to play if you're looking for longs on Nasdaq. I'll be very cautious about shorts because that weekly did close above that level. Now that we are on the weekend, it is a close of that week. So looking into this, I am going to avoid shorting Nasdaq, and I'm going to look for potential longs coming into this. And that's my only um, levels that I'm going to mark on that chart. Nasdaq does look much cleaner, but let's just take a look at this daily swing high, swing low, swing high. Okay, this is the last level right here. I'm going to mark that off. And coming on down, we have a swing low, swing high, swing low. So yeah, this level right here is going to be played out very close. So as you can see, we do have some resistances above, unfortunately. And on this daily chart, it does look a little suspect because we did close in between this level. So once again, I'm gonna need some catalyst to push price up, but that's still a large range to play if I'm looking for buys. So first, I would take a target here, and then look to take a target here. I would still be bullish. Overall, it does look pretty bullish, a little rangy, but pretty bullish. The thing about bears is that it closed below here, and we immediately rejected this level, and now we're coming back up into this level, and it did close bullish on that last day. So for me to continue selling this, there's a nice lovely looking range down below, and that would be pretty attractive if price can have a daily close or even push back below this level. I might look for some intraday shorts. So My playbook on Nasdaq is to be neutral for now, but if we could start pushing up into this area on a daily, um, we could have some intraday longs, um, and I would just take two targets. But if we can reject this level, come back down, then some intraday shorts would be beautiful as well. That's all the markups I could make on this daily chart. So last chart for the major levels is the 4 hour. This is going to determine like really what's happening. 4 hour does look pretty bearish, but it's also kind of rangy. So I'll be neutral on this. But looking at this 4 hour, we did close back below this level, but we're inside this range. So the 4 hour shows more clarity. Swing low. Uh, there's no other swing high, so swing low, swing high, swing low. We're inside this level of swing low. On the way up, there's nothing we need to be worried about. Um, I would say, yeah, there's like a little up wave right here, so like a little swing high right here. Mark that off. Maybe you never know. Maybe it might be a level that it's reacting from. You can see it just reacted from that level. So it is kind of pushing back towards the downside. I would not want to trade in any of these ranges right here because they're very, eh, you could probably find some intraday longs if it does come back up in here, 300 points. It looks small because Nasdaq has been pretty volatile, but yeah, these are solid ranges to play. And I would say right now it is rejecting these levels. And even though I do have a bullish outlook, maybe we're gonna pull back a little bit more before pushing up. That's just my perspective. Because it closed below that level right there. And yeah, I just wouldn't really trust any longs just yet. Um, I would need to see some intraday buys coming into here, and I would only take it up to here. But overall, right now, on the shorter term, I would look to short Nasdaq if that makes sense. I'm not really interested in any longs right now until we can pop above the 40, 24,509 area or even 24,391. Um, the reason why I speak like this is because you still have to see the intraday time frames play out. That's why I'm neutral. If I was actually like fully bearish, I would just mark it off. But that's how the weeks usually close and begin. There's a lot of indecision, so Monday would definitely have to be a big definitely going to be a big decision maker on what I how I react to this. But as of right now, we are still bearish. I would say this is the end of the pullback because prices has been dropping, 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 and then we started pulling back. So I would say this might be the end of the pullback as prices pushing down. So I am more on the bearish perspective for this. Um, Looking at the hourly, it still looks pretty bearish. So I would not really be interested in any longs at the moment. Yeah, hourly is bearish. So we can see the more finer detail. We can see that price is pushing on down. It just rejected that level. If we can close on down below this level, I really do like the way this one's looking. We have over 1,200 point drop. Um, in order for me to go long in this time frame, it doesn't really make too much sense because even if it closes above this major level, we have some nice pushes, but that would be very short term. If I'm looking at the bigger picture, though, I'm looking to potentially take some shorts to the downside. And then the 30-minute time frame intraday is what I'm setting up. So the difference between Nasdaq and gold is gold. I was really not. I didn't really have a directional bias. It was like really choppy. But Nasdaq, it is showing that it's more bearish towards the downside. So that's what I would be looking for is some shorts into Nasdaq in the beginning of the week. We can see that yeah, price is coming on down below here. So I need to see price kind of close below 24,300. But yeah, we have some lovely shorts to the downside. And I'm going to be looking to um, deploy some selves at the lows of that. And like I said, if we do have some indecision coming into the week, one thing that could be played out is we could close, have like an hourly close above the 24,000 and take a quick, intraday longs to that level, retest it one more time. And if we do continue pushing on up, then yes, we have a nice, lovely area all the way up here for 1,000 tick move to the north side because maybe price wants to pull back more. But overall, we are bullish, and I would just take this play by play. And also, I need to see the lower time frame align with a bullish bias. So, from the looks of this, all these time frames do look pretty bearish. So I would basically have to drop down to maybe a 5 minute and take some intraday scalps northbound if I do see that. And like I said, that's very short term. So those will be like very short lived trades. But for the longer term, coming into next week, if I was to look to swing trade or hold for a few days or even like a few, overall, I'm bearish. There's potential for some short term scalps, but overall, I'm bearish and I'll be looking for that. And that's my breakdown for the Nasdaq for gold, and that's all I'm gonna have enough time to do today because, as you can see, these are pretty detailed breakdowns, and hopefully you understand my weekly outlook, and hopefully I make sense when I explain the major levels, key levels to look out for, and the context, pattern, and trigger. So if you like how I broke this down, you can give me a subscribe, a like, a follow, whatever. It don't matter to me. I does this daily, so this analysis is mainly for myself. But I figure I share it with you all. You guys haven't seen me in a while, haven't seen any updates. You can see compared to my last weekly technical breakdowns in the past, this is way more detailed, way more advanced. It makes a lot more sense. I have structure and all that. I've been in the lab. I've been putting in the work. I've been training. So um, you know that's what happens when you just keep on grinding. It makes a lot more sense for you and the world. Hopefully, you all can have a similar analysis and breakdown, and hopefully, we can all make some money next week. So I'll update y'all, and yeah, you can see I'm gonna update y'all also on my P&L for the week and the month at the end of this week or by the next video. I'll show y'all how I did. But I always like to show my intraday trading and my stats as well because it's something new that I'm showing. But you know, in an industry filled with a lot of you know noise, you got to kind of like show them stats too. 'Cause there's a lot of people with a lot of questions and doubts, and like to show people like it is possible to be consistent and to part of the journey. We win, we fail, but if you keep on going and you start learning from the right resources and you just keep on training the right way, um, you know, your life can turn around and you can start seeing real consistency. And it really does feel good to be consistent and also share, pay it forward and share the path and share the journey with you all. So yeah, we'll see what happens next week. But either way, up or down, I'm gonna make money, and that's what matters. All right, y'all. Peace.